There's gonna be a beat down and a shakedown. Oh, take it how you want it, cause it's all going down. We got the ego and you've got the time to wait.
And you don't see any pulsating lights that you would see that would be required on aircraft. If these were aircraft, you would, of course, you know, by law, you'd have to have the pulsating lights, which you don't see. There's nothing red. There's nothing red or green. And I'm looking with the naked eye over the viewfinder. Nothing that indicates movement or any of the required lighting for aircrafts in this area. Now that's weird. Now those look like, to me, I'll have to review the tape, but it looked like two just turned into one, that they just morphed. Which, that's interesting. And I'm having a hard time keeping it steady because, oh, now this one, where's this one coming from? Now, that one on the left had some interesting movement. This is weird. Yeah, okay, so you got one. Now that one that just disappeared did look like it went below a sort of a tree line. It's hard to tell. It's like I said, it's very late at night here. Now if that's all that I had ever seen, I would have said, well, that could have been a flare. But let's see if we get any repeat, like that one that's just showing up right there. Now they're not all doing downward motion. They seem to be moving away from me. And the thing I have to stress that's very, very, very important is they are here now, which is to my right. If I look to the left, this is where they originated. Maybe I'll get a daytime shot of that in the morning. But these things were moving from south to north, and then they arched around and sort of went back south again. So they went north, west, and then south, which is not something that flares do. So, you know, you're going to get all kinds of responses. Well, you want them to be UFOs. Well, you know what? The truth is, I'm not going to lie. Of course I want them to be UFOs, but I also don't want to sit around wasting my time videotaping objects that are known objects. But we've seen these before here. If you look at my other video that I put out on New Year's Eve, where'd they go? On New Year's Eve, I put out, this is what we had on New Year's, was we had a bunch of them in a row, just like this, coming from relatively the same direction, and they were moving very rapidly from south to north, and they flew right directly over my head where I'm standing now. They're all gone now, they've disappeared. So the New Year's Eve ones, if you haven't seen the video, go check it out. It's on YouTube. Virginia UFO, I think. New Year's first UFO 2011, or 2011, I don't remember what I called it. But you can see that they were moving, you know, pretty rapidly, and that's when my son hit one of them with a laser, a green laser. And you could actually see the object itself. I mean, it had a surface to it. It was very strange. It was like an orb, yet it did have some sort of surface. Very strange. Okay, so I don't see anything now. I'm gonna keep the camera in this direction. That's where we last saw them. You got 3 lights now on the screen. Both of the left, far left, center are houses, and the blinking one to the right is the tower, communications tower. I see a light over there very far off into the distance. I see some activity right above the horizon. I don't know if, no, I'm pretty tall. Oh yeah, it's way, these things are miles away from me right now. And it's important to remember that, you know, if I had the camera with me when I first saw them, you would have seen that these things were very close and moving north. Strange that when I come up and get outside, they're moving south. And of course, they're very far away. So I'm just gonna keep the camera over here for a minute. I'm kind of hesitant to turn the camera off. You know, I got this freaking digital SLR camera laying on the seat next to me on my deck here, and I'm afraid to even put this thing down. I could have got some good stills maybe. That's got a nice lens on it. And maybe if these things show up again, I'll put the video camera down and just try to continue with the audio part of it, but I'll take some still pictures. It's just so frustrating when I opened the door and came out on the deck, and these things were, you know, they'd gone from a massive group of, you know, 10 to 15 down to whatever it was, 2. You know, I mean, that is just frustrating. But this is what you deal with on these types of investigations. I mean, you know, whatever these things are, whether they're man-made objects or extraterrestrial, we certainly don't have any control over them. So you just got to film what you can, and then you got to go over it, and then pontificate over the possibilities based on the knowns, and then combine those with the unknowns, and come up with a hypothesis. And in many cases, you end up left with just lights in the sky, which are the worst types of things to investigate, because what can you do with lights in the sky? I mean, these are filmed all over the world every day, and quite frankly, I'd say about 90% of them, if not 95, are explainable. As I'm standing here right now, I don't have an explanation for what I've captured on video. I'm going to shut the video camera off, and if they show up again, I'll be right here. If they don't show up again, yeah, it is what it is, man, and whatever it is, I couldn't tell you right now. So let's hope they come back.
There's gonna be a beat down and a shakedown. Oh, take it how you want it, 'cause it's all going down. We got the ego.